swarm of federal officials today visited a nearly empty prison in Illinois. We've been reporting that. But could they soon be followed by terror suspects from Guantanamo Bay? For the implications of that and more, let's turn to our senior legal analyst, Jeffrey Toobin. What does it mean, Jeff, if 100 or 200 detainees who are now on U.S. soil in Cuba come to U.S. soil in Illinois as far as the rights of these individuals are concerned?
It really doesn't mean much, Wolf. There have been several Supreme Court cases about the detainees while they are in Guantanamo, and what the court has said in various different ways is they are within the reach of the American legal system in Cuba, where they are now, so they would still be within reach of the legal system if they move to Illinois. They have the right to some kind of hearing. Now, the government hasn't provided a hearing to all these people yet. It now appears that some of them will be tried in a civilian court here in New York. Some of them will get a military tribunal. Some of them, it's undecided, but all of them have the right to challenge their incarceration, whether they're in Cuba or if they're in Illinois.
If they're at a military detention facility in Guantanamo Bay, as opposed to a federal maximum security prison in Illinois, and we've been showing our viewers some pictures of that maximum security prison, would they have different rights in terms of visitors allowed to come in and spend some time with them?
Well, they are under the most restrictive conditions. You know, it's funny. I know you've been there. I've been there. All this discussion about, you know, what kind of prison it is. The two prisons that have been built in Guantanamo since 9/11 are identical replicas of maximum security prisons, one in Indiana, one in Michigan. They don't have the right to visitors. They're not going to have the right to visitors if they're in Illinois. The conditions of confinement will be substantively the same, so I don't think there is going to be really any change in their day-to-day lives, except it's going to be a lot colder in the winter.
It'll be much colder, especially in the winter, as you point out. Let's get to New York City, where you are right now. Some are suggesting once these 5 detainees, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and company, are moved to New York and this trial starts, it's going to quickly become a circus. How do you avoid that? You're a former assistant U.S. attorney.
One very important factor, and it's something we don't know yet. Who is the judge? The judge in the Southern District of New York will be picked out of a wheel. It's random chance, but the judge will have to exercise tremendous caution and care and vigilance, because there are some judges, frankly, who aren't very good at their job, and they let people get out of control. I think a lot of people remember the O.J. Simpson trial and how Lancito let that thing drag on for months and months. But other judges have successfully conducted very difficult trials, like the blind sheik here in Manhattan, Judge Mukasey, Judge Sand. These are judges in the who were in the Southern District of New York. They have done a great job in these cases, but a lot of it's going to depend on the luck of the draw and which judge is picked to supervise this case.
Some have suggested that judge will immediately become a target of al-Qaeda, that potential jurors will immediately become targets of al-Qaeda for revenge, and they will effectively need security for the rest of their lives. Is that something that people should be concerned about?
Well, it certainly happened with judges. Judge Kevin Duffy here in Manhattan, he was one of the judges in the terrorism trial. He had security, still does, as far as I know. It's a very serious thing to be the judge. It's a very difficult job to be a juror in one of these cases. I think voir dire, jury selection in Lower Manhattan in a 9/11 trial is going to be incredibly difficult, not just, as you suggest, because of jurors who may be worried about the danger, but jurors who have some connection to 9/11. So many of us here who live in the city lost someone we knew or cared about, or a friend of friend. It's just going to be incredibly difficult to get a jury. Maybe it'll be impossible. Maybe there'll have to be a change of venue, but I doubt any judge is going to want to do that, at least initially.
Now, very quickly, what if Khalid Sheikh Mohammed or these other 4 are acquitted, which is technically possible?
It is technically possible, but I don't think anyone has to worry about Khalid Sheikh Mohammed walking down the steps in Foley Square and saying he's going to Disney World. In the unlikely event that they are acquitted, they will be deported. They will be under the control of the Immigration Service. An acquittal will not mean an immediate release under any circumstance.
Let's say Khalid Sheikh Mohammed is acquitted for 9/11. Could he then be tried for murdering Daniel Pearl, the journalist?
Absolutely. You know, as far as we know, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed has been involved in lots of different crimes. He has claimed responsibility for Daniel Pearl's murder. I think it's unclear whether he really was involved, but certainly 9/11 is not the beginning and end of his exposure, so that's just another reason why he's unlikely to be, not unlikely, it was impossible for him to be released in the unlikely event that he's acquitted.
Jeff Toobin, thanks very much.
Okay, Wolf.